I didn't plan on making an introduction to this video, but this was a fantastic video. There are some awesome lessons in this video as the problems come up, including one of the ones that I learned myself a few days ago from Grandmaster Igor Smirnov from Remote Chess Academy. That guy is fantastic. And when I used his lesson in the problem, it was nothing less than awesome. So it's deep. So you're going to have to go through this and watch this, but you're going to learn killer stuff that you have not seen literally anywhere else before, because it's the first time I've used his lesson in a video, and it was just an unbelievable lesson. So get a drink or something, get something to eat, check this out. If you want to get good, this is going to be an hour of your time that's well worth it. You're going to gain knowledge that you have not thought possible. I know I didn't think it was possible to distribute this knowledge in an hour. That's what happens when the problems come up. So check it out, and I'll see you guys later. Welcome, future masters. This is a whoops mate. It's a combination that whoops mates him. Check this 3x3 square. This is the checkmate square. So one of the things about real chess when you played is that you'd play games and they would end in these guys would accidentally allow checkmates. So that's why I came up with the term whoops mate. You play internet chess, and if that's how you learned your game of chess, you're not going to get that in the same way, because it's a different mentality, and there's a different atmosphere. You just don't see two random kids playing, and one guy gets whoops checkmated like this guy. Whoops, this is a whoops mate, queen g7. So this is another whoops mate, and not 100% it is. I mean, this is whoops, but not as bad. Usually it's a one mover. That was pretty bad. This is another, these kind of things are like, whoops, you just pin. Oh, you're dead. It's not as much skill. Like this is whoops mate right here. The skill factor, this is the whoops where they fall into the tactical knight forks. They're very common in the early days of whenever you're playing chess. Like you're playing chess at school, for example. And this one requires some chess understanding of, you're going to take this rook and cash this pawn because his king is completely locked out of the game. This requires actual chess knowledge to win. It may not be a high level, but it does require some knowledge. This is pretty basic stuff here. But whoops is just like out of the blue. Whoops, checkmate. Now this is check. This is not a whoops mate necessarily. This requires some chess ability to calculate. This is the simple bump and score. And these are all terms that I have invented myself based upon my reality of chess. This is another kind of a whoops mate. You don't look at this move and go, well, that's a checkmate, but it's a checkmate. I mean, I say you don't. I say the average person who plays chess doesn't see that, or doesn't see it quickly. Another bump and score. So now look, this is a discovered attack on this guy's queen. We check him, his queen is gone. As my dad would say, queen of Ghana. Okay, we're black. We've got this guy cut off. We check him with this light square bishop. He is toast. So we check him on d1, king h6. We check him on e3 with the dark square bishop. We're just going to walk this guy to his doom. Well, I'll take the rook now, sir. Check. Oh, brother. What do we do here? Again, this does require some actual chess knowledge. It's pretty easily winning, but you got to be careful to make sure you execute this properly. Several ideas. We can discover check this guy, like knight to d4, which really threatens to, knight to d4 double attacks his knight. So it gives us knight and rook on this knight, but with check he's got to move. And then if he goes to the corner, knight checks, is going to win his queen because it's checkmate. He has to take it. If he goes to there, we play rook takes. If he goes to c1, we go rook takes knight, queen takes, knight takes, and we win his queen again. This guy it looks bad for him on knight to d4. So he also has that move. But guess what? His knight is pinned, so he can't do anything to rook to c2, check, crunch. And now we eat the queen anyway. But that was a great defensive effort. You give him a shot, gotta give the guy credit when he plays a good defensive move. This is a bump and score. This rook on b7 seals the king back on the back ranks. We just check him. Bump. Oh, you're gonna be tough, eh? Ah, you're gonna be tough, eh? So now we could check him rook e1, but he's gonna go rook d8. We need this rook on b7 to now be on e7, protected by our bishop, and we're going to checkmate him on b8 with the other rook. So this is a really bizarre bump and score where we bumped him all the way to where we could secure the position to score the checkmate. This is a whoops mate. Well, you know, whoops mate combo. Whoops, checkmate. One of the things that makes the whoops mate what it is the thing where a smart guy could actually whoops and get himself checkmated. That's kind of the thing. The smart guy could get whoops checkmated. Like, this is a whoops mate. It's not obvious, okay? Queen takes f2 is whoops checkmate. But a smart player, a smart person playing could make this mistake. Knight f4 check, an oversight. Knights are devastating. I think this is actually checkmate. Not just a knight fork winning a rook. This is just checkmate. That's another whoops mate. This is the same formation that I showed you before, 3x3. This corner is the checkmate corner because these two pawns are blocking it, and it looks like a knight attacking two pawns if you do that. So this is a checkmate right here. Easy and quick. Okay, here we're going to do a decoy check, sacrifice, to get to play with queen h2 mate. Because we've got a queen to h file with check. Same story. This is a queen check. We trade queens. My king blocks this pawn, and this pawn cashes on h8. a8, sorry. I can't stop it. It's like hammer. You can't touch this. This is just winning a queen. Heck, actually, it's checkmating him no matter whether he, this is just terrible. Bishop g5 is an awesome move. I can win his queen. Taking the knight again is checkmating. After f4, I'm checkmating this guy. Don't take the queen when you got a checkmate. That's the lesson of that problem, was don't take the guy's queen when you can just checkmate him. Take a look. There's no rush. You got plenty of time. Okay, wow, this is really kind of interesting. See, here's the dilemma. He's got two defenders, king and bishop, of this rook, so I can't take the rook and win it. If I go here, rook to d6, knight takes rook. That's not helping me. However, I realized I had something else that's awesome. All of my pieces, the bishop is restricting him. And it's helping me in my attack. Every piece is helping my attack except this knight. This knight could help if I could put him on e5 and check him, wouldn't it? Well, let's sacrifice the pawn. He can't win my rook because my queen defends it. So this is a clearance sacrifice. Clear the e5 square, knight checks. Crunch. Checkmate. Now that is some good chess right there. This looks like, yeah, this is just a checkmate. You know, he's just screwed, dude. Rook takes rook, king takes, queen takes pawn check, king g8 forced rook. There's checkmate. Check is forced to g8 and then rook e8. Finish him. Look at this guy. Ha. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay, here's a clever move. Rook to d1. Well, he would take my queen with check, which doesn't work for me. But if even if he didn't, well, if it wasn't check, rook takes rook is at mate because he played knight to f1. But this move is checkmating. This is the back rank mate, like I do the side rank, which I also invented. Okay, so now what do we have? Look at this guy. My dad's number one rule. What's he trying to do to me? Well, what is he trying to do to me? If you said queen takes bishop, you're correct. If you said queen to d1 checkmate, well, it's not checkmate, but it's also correct. He's trying to kick my butt is what he's trying to do. And I don't like it. So what can we do to get this guy? That is a very good question, sir. Man, you're killing me. I'm wondering if we have this goofy attack business. That's a real thinker. This is a real thinker. We do have knight on 2 to c4. So that now he's not taking my bishop for free. But queen d1 check, king f2. Yeah, I guess we're surviving that. I sure don't like it. But we're surviving. If he tries to go to d1, we're surviving. So the threat we would have at that point, oh, actually, well, we could do that as well. I don't like that either. The idea of, oh, dude, that's nasty. Knight takes d7, check. I don't know if that's any good. There's an idea behind it that's pretty good. But, oh, idiot. Think about this, moron. Knight c6 is the move. Now, grasshopper, you have to ask yourself, why is knight c6 the move? And why didn't I see it earlier? I don't know. I was blinded. But here's the thing. The knight to c6 move comes from an old Petrov defense opening. It's an opening trap. That when you study that trap briefly, doesn't really matter. You learn this sequence. The knight c6 move check happens because you play, like I said, there's a Petrov defense trap. It happens when, e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight takes e5, knight takes e4, double question mark, queen to e2 for white, and then knight goes back to f6, and then white plays knight c6. So you can run that on a board. It's a basic trap. And this will give you the same, this is the information that was hiding in the back of my chess brain that I had to stare at this problem for a while for some reason to realize knight c6 check is the winning move. It's checkmate. Well, it's going to be checkmate. But this is why this is a whoops move. Whatever, dude. Bishop takes free bishop. And then you take my bishop, and who cares? It doesn't matter. So, I wasn't just, randomly talking to hear myself talk. I know it might seem like I am, but I wasn't. And that's not my goal. My goal is to, play the best moves I could play. Oh, well, this guy's dead. Do you see the combo? It's fairly basic. So if you don't see the combo, you can pause the video and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. Did you see this move? Sometimes they're easy and sometimes they're not, and it's just all random. And you just never know when it is going to be easy and when it isn't. Look at this guy. What are we doing? Oh, well, to me, the thing that stands out is that if I can move my knight profitably, I get a I'm an idiot. I get a free attack I get a free taking of his knight. But dude, I can just pawn fork this guy. What was I thinking? I don't know. Maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm just, off today. At least at this moment, I don't know. D4. Winning. I win a knight. I don't care. You take my queen? Whatever, dude. Taking my queen doesn't bother me. Now, some people, my father he really didn't like to trade queens. So some people really rely on their queen more than others. Me, a queen is like $100 bill. I will spend it. Okay. My dad didn't like to. My dad was hilarious. It's very funny because he would say, well, all I have is a $50 or $100 bill, and he didn't want to break. I don't want to break it because my dad's philosophy was this, and it's a product of the time. He was born like 1935, so the product of the time of really holding on to your cash assets, because when you break the 100 or the 50, then you spend it for this and that, and it kind of nickel and dimes yourself to to non-existence. But so it's like you maintain the wealth by keeping that 50 or 100 in reserve, which is true. But the more advanced thinker of money sees the queen, like I said, the queen's like a $100 bill to me. Well, I will spend that $100 bill to make money. Okay. So you see, it's seeing into the future. Now, it looks to me like this F2 is just winning all over the place. That's the thing. My dad was really it was a different mentality. So we go here, and once we get our king in front of our pawn, we win. This is a forced win from this position when I play king to e4. That is one of the king and pawn nuggets of information you have to learn. I'm just helping you out there. Okay, so clearly we're pinning this guy's rook on f2. We cannot play rook to d2. This move loses. We cannot play this move queen takes free rook, is what my dad would say. So that's just one helpful hint for you. Now, my gut reaction is that rook to d1 check is winning, because it forces king g2, and then I have queen e4 check. And then he's got a problem. Oh, he has a different problem, apparently. Well, now you're dead. Rook d5, he's toast. There's literally nothing he could do. I'm going to checkmate him. Or win his rook, yada yada, whatever it is. Right? Rook to d5, he can play g4 to forestall this. He cannot allow. We can't play g4 because I'll take his queen. Yeah, rook d5 is winning. It's queen or checkmate is what it was. This is one of the things that, at our old chess club where my dad and I played, This guy was there, our highest rated player. He was over 2,000. He became a master a few years later. He was like, the geometry of the board, and that was one of those board geometry things that you learn of the rook checks and then king g2, queen e4 check. You learn the geometry of how these pieces work. You gain familiarity. You already know how this works, but you gain some familiarity when you see these tactical actions. Man, we're in some freaking trouble here. What is my dad's rule? What's he trying to do to me? He's trying to kick my butt. Man, I am telling you, we are in trouble. So he's threatening queen h8 check at this moment, okay? He's threatening queen h8, which is terrible. I'm trying to figure out the problem I have is that I can't allow him. I can't play queen takes knight because the king gets trapped and checkmated. Just giving you the heads up on that one. Well, actually, that may not be true. Check. It's terrible, all right. It's pretty rancid. This is a toughie, dude. I don't know how this is some 1900 problem. Sometimes they come up with these ratings that are like really mysterious. Oh, well, maybe it's not that bad. It's pretty horrible. Oh, no, I got him. Blam, blam. Yeah, I dare you. Bam. It goes to there. Check, it goes to there. And now what? Oh, I got bishop. You're screwed, dude. Yeah, this guy is in trouble because I have a clearance. Well, I have a decoy sacrifice of rook to g1 check. I'm getting destroyed because my pieces are clogging my king's flight squares. So look, rook g1 check, king takes, queen g4 check. King f1 the only move because everything else is checkmate on g2. And then I have queen g2 check, king e2, bishop now cleared from the queen. Bishop g4 check is super devastating. I'm going to be able to play queen takes f2 check. This guy is toast. Don't try this at home, kids. Got to make sure, yeah, this is the only move that's check. I just can't allow him to check me. And you're smoked. Okay, this is the obvious thing, but I'll tell it to you anyway. Pawn takes knight, queen to h8 is checkmate. So that's not happening today, son. And there's some other interesting ideas. Oh, baby. We got this guy with the super bishop. You're like, that bishop's not super, he's on e1. Queen takes check. Rook takes is forced because it would be mate. Rook to b8 check. Fortunately, nothing can attack that. He can throw his queen away, but eventually he has to play rook to g8 check. And then I hit him with bishop to c3. Crunch. Super bishop. You see, it's like magic. He can throw his queen away, like I told you he could, right? I don't care whether he does or doesn't, because it was easy calculation that whether he threw it away or not, he was still checkmated. This is an easy checkmate. Queen takes rook, king over, king recaptures, bishop h3 check, the rook seals the e file, and we checkmate him. You're gone. Next. Okay, here's a case of This pawn really blocks this rook from defense. He literally is facing down 3 attackers to his king, his queen, and rook are both locked out of the game. These are just window dressing. So we've got this guy. We've just got to make sure we don't do something stupid, which has happened before. I'm going to let you know. Every player that's walked the planet has made a stupid move. You can say, not Gary Kasparov. Oh, yes. Not Magnus. Oh, yes. Not Hikaru. Oh, yes. Every player. There is no exception. They've all made stupid moves. Not you. Yes, me too. Doesn't matter. So we're going to check this guy. I think we're going to kind of sort of ladder mate him, force him to h4 and then play rook f4 checkmate. So let's get him here. We're going to play rook to g2 check after he goes wherever he goes. Doesn't matter. If he wants to go back here, I'll checkmate him there too. I don't care. But this check seals him. You know, this f8 rook has got him. That seals him. It's 3 versus 1. This guy is just nothing but a blocker. Blocker of his escaping. That's all very interesting. What if we play pawn takes pawn check? He can't take with the rook. We take his queen. He can't, if he takes with the king, can he take with the king? I don't think he can. I mean, I guess he can. Can he take with the king is a good question. There's another possibility. I was thinking of queen takes queen, rook takes queen, e2, rook e1, but I don't have anything because if I play rook e6, he plays f3 and then just king f2 and he wins the pawn. So queen takes queen doesn't lose, but it you know, you're struggling to draw probably. It's probably a draw, so forget about that. We don't want to trade queens. So we have to make a move that threatens something, or we have to retreat our queen like a coward, because if we trade our queens, we cannot win. This is what my spidey senses tell me. We trade queens, we cannot win. You see enough games, you'll understand. I wonder. Holy moly, he could take it. Yeah, that's true. He could do that. Let's see. Let's look at pawn takes pawn check. This is a forcing move that opens up his position, which is why I want to look at it. There's no obvious, cheap shot tricks that get him, but we have the advantage slightly with the initiative of the move that initiates a check. So we want to open him up, which e takes f2 opens him up. Since we don't have any moves of real value, we have no way to do any forcing action that involves, say, rook to a1, because he's got 2 guys defending that. That can't be done. His weakness is going to be on this king side. We need to open this up. Check. Rook takes, loses to a queen. Okay, so that's obviously out. Don't have to analyze it. We just did. King takes is forced. That's not the kind of move you really want to play when you're under attack as king taking pawn. If he goes to the white squares, we hit him with queen to d5 check. He is in, trouble. Or as my dad would say, he's in trouble. He would say that, from time to time, just to, add an accent to the trouble he's in. Or it's like, it's like saying someone's in trouble with a capital T. But my father wasn't born in America. He learned English as his 4th language. The language he used the most. Was his fourth language. So he saw, he saw the process, I guess, of learning English a little bit different. So you're in trouble. That meant you were in super trouble when he said that. So this guy is in trouble, big time. Okay, it's so obvious that I just hammered him. Okay, again, we don't want to trade queens. There's nothing to be gained here. And there's no gain. We can't sacrifice a rook because our queen by itself cannot do anything except resign. So I'm thinking queen d4 is good because he can't handle dark square business except by running. There's no interpositions. I'm not gaining the ability. Well, I could play queen to d2 also, and then maybe queen to, and then rook to a2 might work. Wow, that's really awesome because my only checks he can give me, I would guard both a1 and b2. You know, this move is very strong. Queen d2 check. If he comes forward, rook a3 check. This dude is getting murdered. All right. So it's like I want him to go back into the turtle's shell. You know, I was thinking I don't want him going there with queen d4, but he's got king g2. He'll go to h3. But he ain't going to get to h3 if I check him here. And this to me seems to be the move since he's completely got no helpers on h2 or g2. We have two checkmating threats here. So there you go. Sometimes you can directly calculate something like that. Other times it's beneficial to kind of feel. It doesn't matter how you do it. I don't know. I wasn't computer mentally calculating. I was more going with a. Dude, isn't this just rook takes knight, king takes, queen h2, queen f2 checkmate? Isn't that just what we're looking at here? Instead of trying this fancy queen h3, he can't take me business. Queen h3 checks, he would have to go to e1, I would take him, which is all good, all right? I mean, that's winning. Isn't this just check? And you're getting mated? I mean, he doesn't have to take it. That's the other thing. Rook takes knight, he doesn't have to take it. Yeah, well, good luck with that, right? Check, he could go to e2, queen checks, and that's mate. He's mated. Man, sometimes it's just this easy, and then what you do is what I just did was you got to go and double check your business. Because if you don't double check it, you won't see a mistake that you had made, minuscule as it may be. And in these positions, minuscule mistakes cost you the game. Okay, so this guy's trying to queen this pawn. How do we stop him? Well, the way we could go rook. We could go, man, that's not going to work. Rook to c4. He could play c2 is forced almost, or he could play king to b2, or king to d2, whatever. This is the same thing, he was at. So if I go rook to c4, let's say he goes king c2 with the pawn. Rook c4, c2, king d4. Oh, that's horrible. He'll just play. I cannot do that. He'll just play king to d2, and then I can't move my king in. So I'm thinking king e4. King e4. He plays c2. I play king d3, attacking the pawn. Now he's got a problem. He's got to go to the b file. I rook check him if he does, because I'm already attacking the pawn. Yeah, king e4 and king d3, because we have to double attack this pawn to win it. And this rook is just doing an awesome job of preventing him from, number one, escaping, but number two, it reduces our calculation necessity. Oh, you know what? King d3 is awesome. If he goes king to d1, we just go rook to h4 and we'll checkmate him. You can't go king to d1. So king to d3 is awesome because king to d1, okay, he can technically go there. Because our rook move to h4 is cool, but he'd have to check us. He'd have to make a knight and check us, and that's a loss for him. So this is what I anticipated, king to b2. Now I just check him, and then when he goes back to c1, I just go rook c4, and it's a win. And if he doesn't go there, I'll just take it. The only stalemate position with king, rook, and king is if black king is on a1 and the rook is protected on b2. There's no worries about a stalemate. Now the other thing he can do is play king a3 to attack my rook and hope I'm an idiot to take his pawn and he'll take my rook. But I'll just go back to c4. I told you, like an idiot. I'm not an idiot, sir. You have to know what the only king and rook and versus king stalemate position is, and as long as you don't get that one position, it only can occur on 4 different squares, okay, which is b2, b7, g7, and g2. Other than that, you can't be stalemated. So it's easy to avoid, especially in a fast-paced game. I don't know. Someone correct me if I'm just destroying this guy with king, queen. I can't speak. Queen to d5, queen to b5 check. He goes to like f8 or something. I check him. Goes to g8. I check him again. He's actually getting away, that freak. What a jerk. You see this guy? Gotta watch this guy. He's gonna checkmate us if we're not careful. Okay? So we got to be careful. Queen b5 check, king f8, because that's where the turtle wants to go. The turtle always wants to go back into his shell, which his shell would be h7. So think of the enemy king as a turtle trying to escape you. Queen b5 check, king f8. Okay, well, what if we don't let you go to f8, sir? What if we hit you with rook to b8? So then he's forced to play like king f7, trying to get back there. Then we've got queen to d7 check, king to g6. We've got queen to takes e6 check, king to h7. That dude is there again. However, we got queen to g8, forcing him out. I like it. Queen b5 check is the move. And it looks like we can't not check him. We get checkmated with rook to a1 is checkmate, okay? Or we'll win our queen. So we've got to check this guy all the time. That's what you have to understand here. What is he threatening to do? Rook to a1 checkmate. That's my dad's rule. So rook again check. Rook b8 check. Forces here. Oh, dude. Even better. Queen e8's mate. It's the 3x3 queen checkmate. I didn't recognize it immediately because there's not a piece here. But if your piece controls this square and this square, this corner square is a checkmate for a queen. Easy money. Which you saw as soon as I played a couple of moves. It comes up on my radar and boom, he's dead. Okay. All right, here's what's happened. Look at this. This is pretty easy and pretty fun and pretty dangerous. So knight e4 check. Ha ha, I'm winning. He's like, oh, no, you're not. Rook takes knight. Okay, jerk? Fine. Because what's he doing? After rook takes knight, I cannot play pawn takes rook because he goes rook to a1, gets my rook in g1. But I go knight checks, rook takes. Not pawn takes, but rook to g6 check, king to f5. Then I can play, let me think for a second, what's the right move? Is it rook to f7 check? Because he can't move his rook. I believe that's checkmate. Check, So there you go. This is the key in between move that does not lose. We own this. We're going to own this as like a ladder mate. We catch him almost in the middle of the board. You got to be careful. Now what are we doing? Queen to b2 right here. Queen to b2 threatens checkmate on, well, not a checkmate, but a checkmating attack. Check and queen takes knight. This threatens a checkmate. So we also get this same effect if we play queen to e7. We'll get the same checkmate concept. At least I think it's the same. Queen e7 might be better because we pin this rook to the queen. And it makes it, this is, in a chess tournament, this move is very deceptive because it looks like you're working on this rook and queen when actually you're threatening to checkmate him. So it can be very deceptive, just like that last problem was deceptive by checking him. Aha, take your knight. Ah, take your rook, and then you lose your rook. There's a deception factor. So we've got to see. He can't move anything. He moves the knight. We check him. Bang, check him again because it block. Yeah, this queen e7 is a nasty move, dude. Ah, it loses. This move loses. Do you see? Look at that move. If you want to go back and pause that position, I'll hold this for a second so you can pause this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that move loses. Queen e7 loses. Now, if you don't know, oh, it doesn't lose. Sorry, it doesn't lose. It's awesome. Here's what I saw. I thought it lost to rook takes check, but knight takes rook guards my queen. So queen to e7 looks like it loses, but it doesn't. It's like I'm seeing into the future. I'm like Nostradamus. No, I don't have the winning lotto numbers, but I wish that I did. That checkmate threat was nasty on e2. Okay, what are we doing? Ah, I see now. Dude, am I that nasty? It might be. Dude, this is ultra wicked. What this, you look at this, it's like, okay, we're attacking his rook, he's attacking my rook, okay? And what happens is it takes me, once the rooks are gone, white moves 1, 2, 3, 4 moves to queen, right? Well, at this point, if he's here, it takes him 4 to queen. If I let him take my rook, it takes him 3 and we're losing. We're dead. He'll queen, we'll be here, and it's over. Actually, we'd move to that square, you just take it. But I'm ultra nasty because I'm thinking ahead, and this is what separates the men from the boys. My original move, rook g5 check, pretty lame. You know, it just doesn't. It's trying to work, but it fails, and I'll show you why it fails in a moment. I go here. He's going to attack my rook. King take f4, attacking my rook. And if I take his rook, he takes my rook. You know, blah blah blah. That's actually not. It's losing, not losing. It's not as clean. I have a killer move. I've been done a redouble check my moves to make sure that I have this correct. I don't want to try this and then fail. It's a beauty if it works. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, it works. This is a beauty. That wins. The rook g5 wins too, but my move wins better. But this is where they cheap shot you, and they'll make the claim that it was less efficient or whatever. It was an absolute beautiful move that it wins by force. Whatever, dude. These guys are crooked. I don't know, it's not checkmate, but it's getting close. How about, well, let's just check him here. If he goes to here, g6, queen f5 is mate. If he goes to h4, you're just checkmated, bro. This is checkmate. Yeah, there's two different checkmates. I'm like, whatever, it's all good. We have, well, a couple of ideas here. What happens if we just brute force this guy? We haven't used the brute force technique really. See, there are some things, if you notice, knight to d3 would checkmate. But we can't get a knight there anytime soon. It takes us 2 moves to get there, and it's kind of easy to stop. So that's the thing that really is like sticking out. But what if I just go rook takes bishop? You can play queen takes, and that kind of ends that. We have queen takes d4 as well. It's unfortunate that knight... We have knight takes d4, which threatens to win this. Okay, to win the bishop. So that's interesting. Knight takes d4, rook f2 to protect this bishop. That's kind of ugly. Knight takes d4, rook f2. I'm thinking of, taking rook takes. Bishop might be good with rook takes. The other was knight takes bishop. Knight takes bishop, rook takes, queen to g1 check, knight to f1. What do I have? Oh, well. Almost. Oh, when he goes rook to f2, we can play knight to g4 with our rook attacking his rook. That's really good. Knight d4, rook f2, knight g4. That's really interesting. Knight takes d4, rook f2, knight to g4, attacking the rook twice. Oh, dude, he's in trouble. He would not believe. Now we're threatening to play knight to e3 and knight to c2 check. Oh, man, that's nasty. Bam. Rook f2, knight g4. What's he doing? You can play rook takes check, king takes, and so what? My spidey senses say I have to look at rook takes bishop first. Queen takes, it's not a big deal. I mean, I guess you could just play rook to e8 and you're just going to win. What are we? We are down a piece, so we can't do that. And we could do it. It's not that great. We really should checkmate this guy. We're down a piece. We don't want to win a queen and a bishop for 2 rooks because we're just winning a queen for 2 rooks and getting our piece back. So, we'd have a queen versus 2 rooks, but his development is trash. My experience factor says go for the mate or the crushing attack of knight takes d4, where it looks like it's either mating or just it's going to work on really nasty, not just kind of mediocre rook takes, queen takes here, or rook takes, king takes. And then knight takes d4 is a pretty strong move, but it's not like ultra devastation. Although it is very good. Rook takes, king takes, knight. I just don't think rook takes, queen takes, rook to there is a whoop-de-doo. Queen takes, knight takes, and we have a knight, 2 knights and a queen against 2 rooks and 2 bishops. I'm sorry, against 2 rooks. Dude, that's terrible, right? Oh no, two rooks and two bishops against two rooks at two knights and a queen. I don't like it. Knight to c4. What is that move? Knight to c4. Man, just like in a tournament, you know moves happen that you don't anticipate. Now the thing is here, I've got check, and I'm threatening to play queen takes knight because this bishop's pinned. Okay, so if I check him, bishop d2 is no big deal. I just takes knight. It's pinned. It's not going anywhere. It's not defended here. So, but like it, this is the thing. Sometimes you can't just calculate every move because you're not Bobby Fischer. You're not Magnus. You're not Kasparov. You're not Tall. You're not Hikaru, okay? You play enough chess, you get experience. My spidey senses are part of my experience, and that I don't see this move because this move is not a threat. It's the back of your brain sees sometimes more than the front of your brain and eyes see. That I can't explain it to you. But your back of your brain sees that this is not a threat move, and it isn't. It's not a threat at all. Check, that's no good. I'm just telling you queen check is winning. Queen takes free knight. That's what my dad would say. And that's why. Queen takes free knight. My spidey senses were not wrong. So what happens if we get queen, brute force this guy? Queen e6 check. King takes g5 is the only move. My rule is if he has only one legal move that doesn't lose, you're winning. So and then we could play f6 check, maybe. Or we could play queen to g4 check. That's actually not bad. Then he could go back to f6, and we'd hit him with queen g6 check. I don't know if I'm getting anywhere out of this, but we're working on it. Queen e6 check. Queen e6, king g5. Queen, well, we could play queen to e5 check. I hate these positions. They're just jerky. Man, queen takes f2 seems okay. But what happens is that he just takes on g5, and we don't really seem to have much in the way. I don't like queen f2. I like this. So, if we have f6 check, if he goes king f4, we have queen e5 check. It's getting ugly. But getting ugly and getting winning are different. We also have queen g4 check, king h6, queen g6 is mate, so he can't go. Again, he's got one move, king f6. Queen f4 check is mating. Yeah, that's a swallowtail mate. He's dead because the pawn guards these squares. So queen on f4 with a king on f6, that's a checkmate. That's checkmate, dude. I told you couldn't go there. Don't you love it? Okay. We're probably going to queen this pawn is my guess. So here, white has his rook on the correct position for his pawn is behind it. Problem is his king is so far away that he can't afford to trade rook takes c4 and then cash. He can't get his king in position. I'm going to queen first. Or I'd move my rook to form a wall where he can't get to my pawn, most likely. So I'm thinking the move is probably king to b3 and just, force this dude forward. I don't worry about his king on the g file because I can't go because g7 is guarded by the pawn. But at some point I'm threatening to potentially play rook takes pawn, inconveniencing his rook. I think it's too early to check him. I was correct. It's too early. See the problem, he needs to get to support his pawn with his king before he can trade his rook for my pawn. If I go here, he's in a dilemma. He can't move his rook because I tempo and I'll kill his pawn. This is where you get him. He was in a dilemma. When I played take his pawn, he can stop my pawn or he can take my rook, but he can't do both. His rook is overloaded sitting on h1. That's what is known as an overloaded piece. Now, this goes to a winning, it's a mathematically winning endgame. Computers have proven this in the 90s. But it can take a long time to win against perfect play versus rook. But we're not worried about that. Oh my God, this guy's destroyed. Rook takes check. It's super nasty. This pinned, he can't do squat. I don't know, man. This just looks like ultra nasty with, actually, gotta be careful. He's got bishop to, I'm just gonna take it. It doesn't matter, dude. You're destroyed. Can't take his knight. His knight defends the bishop going here. Gotta be careful. Check. It doesn't work either. The threat that I have potentially is rook d to g1, doubling the rooks. He can't play rook takes rook because bishop takes rook is checkmate. And this also inconveniences him, I think, to a degree. He's got bishop to e5. If I go rook takes f7 check, he's got bishop to e5 blocking the bishop. And I could take, that's really, rook takes f8 check after that is really nasty. Where are you going, Bobby Fischer? Yeah, rook takes f7. If he goes bishop to e5, rook takes check, that's mate. So rook check takes check, king to there. Dude, I got this rook check is nasty. I don't know, this is winning. I was afraid that it wasn't, but I swear it was winning. Queen checks here. Queen checks here. These guys are crooked, I'm telling you. Check, he goes to f8 forced, check. Man, he's forced to go here, and then I just double checkmate him. More or less. Queen d7 check. King f8 forced, e7 check. King to, well, if he goes into the corner, he's got a survival to a degree. Goes to g8. I could hit him with queen check here. He interposes and I take, But the point is check, king f8, e7 check, king f7, e8 discovered check with a queen is two queen checks. It's just outright checkmating him after queen to e7, so he's toast. So this check is a devastator. Right? This is the winning move because queen f7, we just take it with check and he's toast. So, there's a routine 50. Okay. I'm feeling something of rook takes e7 check. This is just my inner experience. We have, if you look at these rooks on the corners, they don't even matter. So I was trying to think, who was the guy who was talking about this dynamic? Oh, it was Grandmaster Smirnov. Igor, he was talking about dynamic position. And in a position like this, you look at it in the dynamic evaluation. He has a really cool accent too. Really an awesome player. He's remote chess academy. Man, that guy's awesome. But he's like in dynamic evaluation here. The rooks, black's rooks don't exist. They're doing nothing. They're just window dressing. So you're looking at this position. Now comparatively, white's f1 rook also really does not exist. So we're playing this with two minor pieces and a rook. He's playing with two minor pieces. We'll both have queens, obviously. So we have a rook advantage. And the advantage here is that maybe rook takes. Oh God, yeah, rook takes is nasty. Okay, because you can bring the other rook in, the f1 rook that's doing nothing. We can play rook takes, knight takes, and we can bring this other rook to e1. And then all of our pieces on the board are doing something where you still got two giant rooks in the corners spectating. He was talking about dynamic evaluation. So, and he's also threatening to take my knight with queen and bishop. So, what's he trying to do to me? That's what my dad would say. What's he trying to do to me? He's trying to take my pieces, man. Guy's got a lot of nerve, I'm telling you. Now, it's possible that it may not be rook takes e7. Bishop takes e7 might be the better move. Because we can play rook takes e7, knight takes e7, bishop takes e7. Because it's not check, he doesn't have to take it. The point is, if we play bishop takes e7 first, we're threatening to move this with check. So if he takes my c3 knight with any piece, it doesn't really matter. I could play bishop goes to b4, retreating, discovering a check with the rook, and then capturing bishop takes c3, whatever he puts on there, I don't even care. So the idea, we have two pieces attacking e7 in a position of dynamic evaluation where he's playing a rook down right now, temporarily. And it was the best explanation of some attacking sequences that you have to look at what's available versus what's actually physically on the board. So bishop takes e7 might be the nasty move. Like bishop takes e7, queen takes c3, we actually would also have a possibility of playing bishop to f6 check, winning his queen. That bishop f6 check. So we play bishop takes e7, knight takes bishop, we get rook takes bishop check. And he cannot capture that rook because king takes rook, knight d5 check, we win his queen. So using, the thing, if this works, then Igor, Grandmaster Smirnov, his idea, his explanation of dynamic evaluation proves to be extra special. It was a great lesson, but it proves to be extra special. Because another thing about bishop takes e7, he can't castle. He can't castle out of it. It's not a check move, but it's a move that's so restricting. I hope this is the right move because he'd be proud of me if I play the right move here. You can thank Grandmaster Igor Smirnov for teaching me how to be even better than I am. Awesome. I told you he couldn't take it. He took it. Now, was he not listening? I told him he couldn't take it, but he took it anyway. What are you going to do? So, one of the things you could call this is proof of concept. It was 3 or 4 days ago that I saw his lesson on dynamic evaluation. And brother, did I cash it or did I cash it? Okay, this is an easy win to me. I see bishop f5 followed by queen g4 check, and this guy's getting annihilated. Oh man, I see this. Look, bishop f5, king h8, bishop to g7 check. You're like, what are you doing that? So I can play, he plays king takes bishop. I go queen to g4 check, king to h8. Well, technically, you could go king to f8. And then I could go queen to h5. He can move his queen, have a hard time checkmating him. So still, I think bishop to f5 is the move. I got nothing else, and this is just a killer move. I am threatening. Bishop checks. The thing is, if I go queen g4, he's going to play rook g8, and I'm kind of stymied, as the saying goes. I mean, maybe not. I could play queen h5, threatening to play bishop to f8, but he'd have rook to g6, and in this position, he could afford to give up the exchange to, play rook g6, because bishop takes and then f takes just closes the pawn structure. The G file, the black half of the G file is like a giant gash that our troops are going to move through. It's like a mountain pass, and he's trying to close the mountain pass. So that's why I was saying bishop, bishop to f8. Bishop g7 check, king takes, queen g4 check. Oh, king f8 loses to bishop h7 because he can move his queen to like d8 or whatever. I would go queen g8 check. He goes king to there. Dude, it's not as devastating as I was thinking. So I'm trying to think if the correct move is queen h5. Queen h5 threatens to play right off the bat. This is the most brutal threat is queen h5 with the threat if white to move bishop g7 check followed by queen checking on h7, or even more brutal bishop to f8 closing the gap, and queen takes h7 is checkmate no matter what he replies. So that's really the threat, is that bishop f8 threatens checkmate. So queen h5, rook to g8. Again, bishop to f8 threatens checkmate because his h7 is undefended. He cannot capture the bishop on f8. There's nothing he could do. Queen h5 is absolutely a forced checkmate. Every move he does is wrong. Bishop, anything to f8, I just take it and then checkmate him. He moves his queen, bishop to f8, I'm going to checkmate you anyway. Yeah, this doesn't work. Bishop g7, king takes, queen g4, king h8. I'm sorry, king to f8, queen h5, or bishop takes h7. He's just going to move his queen to d8 and just turtle his way out, the jerk. So you see, that's the move, because bishop to f8, this is the move you have to see. When you're doing the analysis and the visualization, this is the move you have to see, that this is a forced checkmate or a win of the queen. The only way you can stop checkmate is rook g7 or rook g6. And there it is. And I'm sorry, I don't have the winning lotto numbers. I can only see a lot of the future in some chess games. Okay, I'm sorry, it's the best I could do. Okay, we're black. We're going to checkmate this guy. Well, I mean, that's what it said. I mean, I don't know. We have knight to... knight. One of the knights goes to d3 check, and we'll figure out which one we need in a minute. It doesn't matter. We just mentally, we're going to stick a knight on d3 check. He has one move. Well, he has two moves. Queen takes knight, and then the other knight takes and checks, and that's pretty much... Is it over? Yeah, we'd have two. Right now we have two pieces for a queen. So we get, we take it. We make him play queen takes knight. We're a piece up, and we're just crushing. So knight to d3 check. He's not going to take it. He's going to go king to b1, right? Seems logical. So, aha. King b1. We can play at this point. No. Knight d3 check, king b1. We have rook b2 check. I don't know if that's any good or not. We also have, I don't know, knight d3 check. I don't think is the move. We do have rook d1 check, discovery. I don't think it's very good because he's escaping. We also have rook takes a2 discovered check, which might be good because he can move his king to attack us to a degree, but our rook is protected. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's one of those things, It's one of those things. Now we also have some other crazy stuff with like rook to d6 discovered check from the bishop, and then rook takes bishop. The one thing we can't do, however, is take his queen with a discovery. You could take his rook with a discovery. Rook d1, king to c2. That's the only square where he can't be checked easily. We can play rook takes rook, but then he puts the counter hammer of queen takes g7, which I do not like. I don't want to see that move at all, ever. So let's go. Yeah, I don't know, knight d3, king b1. If he has one move only, you're probably winning is my rule. And then we don't have a good check. Oh, actually, we do, sort of, which is bishop. Oh, man, that's nasty. Maybe. Look at this. Look at this move. Knight d3, one of them. We'll figure out again which one later. Check. King b1. Bishop takes a2 check, sacrificing to deflect the knight. So knight captures on a2. And then we hit him with, give me a second, was that right? Boy, sure sounded good. It sure sounded good a moment ago, okay? I'm going to have another check, you idiot. I don't know what I was on. So let's what is rook a2 check. King b1, again, a nasty move. Oh, no, that was right. It was knight d3 check, king b1, bishop takes pawn check, knight takes bishop, rook to b2 check, guarded by the d3 knight. And then he can go to cannot go to c1. He can only go to the corner once again. You see that? Well, it's getting complicated. So let's go with this one. This knight is blocking d1. I like it. So knight d3 check. King to b1. Bishop deflects the knight. Check. Knight captures. Do we even have to do that? We mean I have to deflect the knight. I don't know. Check there. Rook to b2, check straight fall. We don't have to necessarily deflect his knight. And then maybe we'll deflect it with the rook. So knight f to d3 check. King to b1. Rook checks. The only move. King to a1. Rook takes pawn check. Well, he could go back if he wants to. But let's just say knight takes rook. He's stuck in the corner. Bishop to d4 check is not mate. What a jerkweed. Because we don't have a thing on c3 yet. Knight is a real freak. Man, you're killing me, dude. Knight at d3 check. King b1. What do we do? Bishop checks. Knight takes. Rook to b2 check. Okay, whatever. You just don't have another piece. You're killing me, man. You're just killing me. What about rook to d1 check? I don't know. He's not going anywhere, maybe. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he's not going anywhere. I was too cowardly. But look, his king isn't going anywhere. That's my guess. So let's go with, let's say his king can't make it, because we get to play him on his escape. He's going to try and turtle his way to b2 and a3. So let's go check. King b2, eat this, bishop c1 check. How's it feel? You got this crisscross bishop, he can't go there. We're about to lay something on, I don't know. So rook d1 check discovered. He's got to go. He's got two moves. c2 and b2. Which is a problem. Because we can't do anything if he goes to c2. What a jerk. Man, I hate this guy. I never met him and I hate his guts already. Okay. This is one of those things that is like, this is the what if technique. What if I just go knight to e2 check and get this knight out of the way? I don't know. Does that do anything? The point of that is that we check him. He'd again forced to go to b1. Dude, what an awesome move. Knight f to e2 check. Knight captures, rook captures, check. He's forced to go because this knight owns b1. King to owns d1. King to b1. We hit him with bishop takes a2 check. Forced to go to the corner. Bishop d4 checkmate. This guy is toast. Knight e2 check. This convoluted garbage. Now, the one thing you have to do is check what happens to see if he doesn't take it. So he doesn't take it, we just take him because he goes to b1 and knight takes c3 check, and we'll just Arabian mate him on a2. Yeah, you're done. Goodbye, Charlie. Finish him. Flawless victory. There you go. That was awesome. I hope you thought that was awesome, because I thought that was awesome. To me, the obvious move is knight e6 check, guarding our rook. He's going to come out here, but there's nothing we can do about that. And in fact, we can just discover check the crap out of him. But I guess we can't, 100%. Well, we could go bishop to g8. Where are you going, Bobby? That's a good question, actually. Bishop to g8, where are you going? King to e8? Is that correct? Dude, I don't know. It's getting kind of ugly. Knight checks here. We've got him there. He's going to go here. Do I have a bishop that I can attack him with? I do not. Bishop to g8 check. He's got one move only, and that's king e8. And then I go, oh, well, you know what? Now that you mention it, knight to c7 check is kind of ugly. Well, there you go. I blew it. That's okay. I don't mind. I want to see this because this is killing me. Oh, he could do that, and then that we get him. I don't know how we get him on the thing there. Idiot. That's how you get him. I missed that. Moron. Checkmate. Moron. That was a 2900. Okay, you can't complain. I didn't foresee. I did look at, that, moving away to check, but I was like, yeah, I didn't see that at all. Look, dude, my spidey senses are real good, but there's a limitation. That was very good. I'm telling you. I consider that. I didn't think it was successful. Oh, my mistake. I did not analyze that correctly. I did actually look at rook. I knew to look at that move, and I said, well, yeah, he takes me, and I check him, and he just goes in the corner. Idiot, I got a bishop there. Whoops. Hey, sometimes you whoops yourself, and I whoops myself on that one. So, yeah, I'm telling you this rook check is a killer move. But rook g5 also wins, which I calculated that. So, yeah, whatever, dude. Because I realized I was queening and controlling the square where he queens. He goes there, I go there. I saw all of that.